I am just looking through my computer settings, and I think I am good to go on this end. And guys, love to start it out each week. My name is Chris Cook. I'm Direct to Symmetry Financial Group. Love to start it out bragging on you fine folks and getting into some of the numbers that we do each and every week out in the field. You guys going out there and servicing families. Want to talk about this. And, you know, something I just thought of, Tina, that we didn't have. Usually we do the monthly numbers on this one because it's monthly. So
I'll grab those real quick.
If you can, grab them. If we have them ready for the end of the call, we'll have them out for you. If not, we'll post them up on GroupMe this week, but no worries there. Want to brag about our top 2 app count getters this past week. We had Jordan Gillum coming into number 2 spot, 5 applications. Way to go, Jordan Gillum. Number 1 spot in app count this past week and number 1 spot on the APV leaderboard, 6 applications. Mr. Grant Reynolds, number 1 overall agent with us this past week. Check this number out, folks. $10,241.52. You heard that correctly. Number 1 on our leaderboard this past week. You guys will hear about him, hear from him a little bit later in the call. So $10,241.52 in APV on 6 applications. Not too shabby, my friend. That is some good stuff right there, buddy. And also representing the number 1 organization, which is pretty much dominating our leaderboards over the past several months, the Grant Reynolds organization at $14,839.08 in premium this past week. Way to go, Reynolds organization. Love seeing you guys always above the 10,000 or more each week mark, and led by the 2 leaders, Elijah Carujo and Grant Reynolds on that right there. Oh, wow. You are just Johnny on the spot lately. So, hey, I'm getting numbers in as we speak, folks. So bear with me here. I'm going to go over our top 3 producers for the month of July, not August. Yeah, month of July, not August. Top 3 producers this past month. Check this out. Laura Davis, 22 applications, $20,903 in premium. Way to go, Laura Davis. Super proud of you, buddy. And number 2 spot, Mr. Elijah Carujo, 24 applications, $20,955 in premium. Way to go, Elijah. Well, there can only be one number 1. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll brag on this producer. Had 23 applications. Way to go, Jordan Gillum. Really strong in your app count this past week or past month. Number 1 on our leaderboards, though. Number 1 on our leaderboards this past month, Mr. Grant Reynolds, $22,635 in premium. Mr. Grant Reynolds always going out there and getting it done. And his organization was the number 1 organization, surprise, surprise, for the month, folks, at right at $56,630 in premium. Number 2 organization for the month was Mark Neubauer's organization at $48,000, a little bit over $48,000 in premium. So not too far off there, Neubauer Group. Way to go, guys. That's good stuff. That was a month of July. World pandemic going on, all that stuff. We chose not to participate. You guys chose not to participate. Way to go. Way to set examples. Everybody on that leaderboard, way to set examples out in the field. That is not too shabby, my friend. Tina, I hope I didn't miss anything on that. If I did, you make sure you call me out on it, okay, buddy? All right, so let's get into our recruiting leaderboards this past week. We love bragging about people that are sharing the plan and showing the plan 10 or more times. We got Jared Gillum, Barry Davis, Mike Gray, myself, all sharing the plan 10 or more times this past week. And hey, for you leaders out there, we're looking to get you guys above 20 or more. Jared Gillum had over 21 show the plans this past 21 show the plans this past week. Way to go, Jared. Super proud of you, buddy. Know you out there working hard, and that is some good stuff. You're going to find your people when you start sharing the plan that many times. I promise you there. Recruits this past week. We had a lot of recruits. I think it's a new record for the month of July. I think, Tina, if I'm going to add them up here in a second, I'll give them to you. Colette Coaster had a brand new licensed recruit this past week. Val Zarn had a brand new licensed recruit. Elijah Carujo, myself, Dustin Hensley, Grant Reynolds. He led us in production. How awesome is this, Elijah? He led us in production and he led us in recruiting, just like you did the week before. Yeah, you had 3 recruits last week. So Grant Reynolds had 2 recruits this past week and wrote over 10,000 in production. Not too shabby, my friend. Not too shabby. Leaders lead. That's what they do. They set the example and the standards. And so proud of you, Grant Reynolds. That is great leadership, buddy. New writers this past week. Man, we're adding writers each and every week. I love to see that. That's a great sign of a growing organization. 3 new writers this past week. We got Lionel Mubanda, part of the Grant Reynolds organization. Way to go, Lionel Mubanda. We got Sterling Regis Ford, part of the Robert Schaefer's organization. Way to go. 1,302 in premium right there. And Angelina K. Wingert, number 1 writer for the week, part of the Elijah Carujo organization, $1,541 in premium. Way to go, buddy. Way to go, Angelia. Way to go, Sterling, and way to go, Lionel Mubanda. Really good stuff there. Hopefully I didn't shred anybody's name up. If I did, I'm certainly somebody will call me out because that happens weekly. But hey, I am attempting my best, and I promise you, I made Tina let me practice with her this morning already, right, Tina? So I got to practice with you. So we're going to get into our news and notes, and we're going to call this Tina's Tips for the week. So in case you guys are out there, this is news and notes. You can take some notes on Tina's tips. So Tina, are you?
I do have some tips.
You do have some tips.
I want to remind everyone with their new agents for them to be checking their emails and complete those contracting links just as soon as you get them, because it will hold up business. It will hold up your making money. It will hold up a lot of things. And also with Mutual of Omaha, you can, as a new agent, write an e-app before you get your writing number. You have to put in the space pending and the last 4 of your social, and you can log in as a guest if you need to, in order to have access to their stuff. So with Mutual of Omaha, you do not need to wait. You can just go ahead and start writing.
I love it, buddy. I love it. So, all right. So let me do this. Boom. Let me do this. Come on.
Check 1, 2.
Yeah, and I got your partner in crime. I'm asking to unmute him. So I'm going to cover some news and notes, and I'm going to need some background noise from Elijah and Grant on this one. So as I go through some of this stuff. So remember, you guys just heard that Tina's Tips of the week. So thank you, Tina.
I love that. Tina's Tips.
Tina's Tips, man. That's awesome. I made that up on the fly right there, too. That was original. Couple of things I want to cover here, guys. We have a new agent call coming up tomorrow, hosted by yours truly right there, Mr. Elijah Carujo. Guys, background on who this is. He can train your people tomorrow. He was 22 years old, as a college senior last year, made $60,000 with us as a college senior doing this part-time. This year, probably on pace, I'd say, to make around 120,000. Is that fair, Elijah?
Yeah, I'm shooting for 120. I won't be mad at it.
I won't be mad at it, but hey, first full-time year, he's going to do that as a ripe old 23-year-old. He is going to be training you guys tomorrow, setting appointments, what to do as a new agent, how to get your career started out. If you have a brand new agent, guess what? You can plug them into Elijah Carujo tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. Put that on your docket. Also, he just hosted a Zoom session right before this, teaching live how y'all book appointments. So I hope you guys were plugging into that. If you're not, make sure you're paying attention to the thing. Also today, coming up at 12 o'clock, we got Ryan Federico, one of my good buddies here at Symmetry Financial, one of the fabulous leaders here at Symmetry Financial, talking about the process and understanding that amateurs have goals, professionals have a process. And guys, if you want to make this a professional career, if you want to make this more than a hobby, create a process and follow a process, and you'll start to hit whatever goals you have. And what Ryan Federico is going to be talking about today on that call. New benefits. Anybody wanting benefits? Have you ever hired somebody, Elijah, and they're like, man, what kind of benefits y'all got? Right? Grant, you ever interviewed somebody talking about that, buddy?
Oh, yeah, man.
I've so also many times interviewed people who decided against this because there were no benefits.
Right, right. And I'm like, I always thought there was benefits, unlimited pay, I could take my own hours, unlimited vacation days. Like, I thought that was benefits enough, right? But wait, there's more. So we've got on top of that, if you're a brand new agent with us, if you didn't already know, we've had this in place for a long time, but I think this is exciting and I don't think we pump it up enough. Through Americo, we have My Policy program. What that My Policy program provides is absolutely free life insurance for you, the agent, through your first year here at Symmetry Financial. That's awesome because we never want any family passing away while they're on the road or doing anything that represents our company that already is not covered. So if you need free life insurance, guess what? You got it. Sign up through My Policy program. Also, we've got a new health benefits that are coming out, subsidized by Symmetry Financial. You can find it. Tina, let me grab something real quick. I'm going to show you guys where you can find it. I had some highlights that I'd sent out on this program, and I wanted to go over it with you guys because I thought, man, everybody needs to be at least know that this is something that we've got out there for them if they want to participate in it. So My Health Policy program, the link for it's under the agent benefits on the SFG website. Yep, you heard that correctly. You have health benefits if you want them here at Symmetry Financial. Health plan includes, it's just some highlights, one easy enrollment process, no deductible, freedom of choice, any doctor, any hospital. So make sure you go under the SFG website under agent benefits, click on there. So if you're needing health coverage, you can go in there, look through that, see if that's the health plan for you. They've got several different options there. So that's exciting news, guys, because we've never had that before. I've worked with the company for 6.5 years. I've always had health benefits outside of Symmetry Financial. So gives you a highly subsidized plan so you can go out there and get cheap, affordable healthcare coverage for you and your family. So be looking up that. I think that's some really good stuff that Symmetry Financial has in store for us. So good stuff there. Also, congrats. If any of you leaders have any agents that qualified for a raise outside of the other raise that I'm getting ready to announce, congratulations to everybody out there. Every single one of you, August 1st, got a 10% raise. So I figured Grant and Elijah, y'all could yell, clap in the background as I announced this is a 10% raise.
Let's go.
Yeah, right. Hey, 10% raise. Simply what that means, if you were a new agent with us, you used to be on a 60, now you're on a 70% contract. If you're on a 70, now you're on 80. You got a 10% raise August 1st. And guys, I'm telling you, that is huge in this business, huge in this industry. What it simply means, our average app, if you're taking notes at home, me and Elijah was talking about before, is 1,000 APV. If you're making 10% more of that, that equals $100 more per application for the same work you were doing on July 31st. $100 more per application. It's an absolute fact. So if you're out there and you're a Laura Davis and you're writing 20 plus applications a month and your average app's around 1,000, right? Here's the cool part is you just got a $2,000 a month raise if you're writing 20 apps a month. That means that's an extra $24,000 a year. So congratulations, all you full-timers out there. You just got a $24,000 a year raise. That's almost as much as I used to make at my old job. So that's pretty
doing
sad.
the same amount of work.
Hey,
Can I say something real quick about that?
say it, buddy.
So I did some math.
Yep.
And I looked at it. I found the most expensive state to get a license.
Yep.
And I calculated that a full-time person's lead investment and all licensing costs, including background check and everything in the most expensive state, and your first lead investment is now completely covered with a little wiggle room if you can write one application in your first month now because you started with 70. That is pretty cool.
That is not too shabby, my friend. And if you part-time, say you're out there writing 10 apps a month, part-time, you just, half as good as some of these studs full-time, which is great because you're doing it part-time. You're working another job. You just got $1,000 a month raise. It's $12,000 a year if you're part-time with us. I used to be happy making $12,000 a year part-time. So, you know what I mean? Back in my college days. So, much less somebody like Elijah that makes $60,000 part-time with us. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, guys, congratulations to everybody, and super congratulations to my good buddy, Brian Hamby. He's been working on this part-time some weeks, folks, just so you know, if you ever see Brian Hamby on our leaderboards or anything like that, you saw him a couple of weeks ago, he wrote 10 applications. He worked 93 hours just at his other job, right? and he still went and qualified for another 5% raise. So this month, he went from a 65% contract all the way up to an 80% contract, 15% raise 1 month. Congratulations, you, Mr. Hamby. You are now making $150 more per application. Not too shabby, my friend.
That's amazing.
That's a $1,500 a month raise for a part-time person. So good stuff.
Want to know something cool too that I learned about Brian Hamby? Because he hops on almost every single one of my dial Zooms, man. He'll hop on while he's at his job and listen in. He'll run appointments after he finishes his job in Pacific time zones. He'll run appointments in Nevada, and I'm pretty sure is he in Tennessee?
He's in Tennessee. He runs appointments in Nevada.
In a 3-hour time difference. I've done that, and it means you're running appointments past 10, 11 p.m. This dude is kicking tail because his why is bigger than any excuse he could think of, and he's a freaking beast.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
Badass award winner of the week right there.
Hey, yeah, it's like a story. We'll have him on here probably in a couple of weeks. We'll just have him on like a symmetry story. How about that? He also, for those of you who don't know, has how old's his youngest child, Tina?
I think he's 5 months old.
Yeah. So all the
And
while,
then he's got a 3-year-old.
yeah, he's got a 3-year-old and a 5-month-old. So we all know if you're at home and you taking care of those babies, that's also a third job on top of that right there, right? So he's always helping out. He's always helping out his wife, Chrissy, with that. So proud of you, Brian Hamby. Super good stuff on that, buddy. All right. Well, let's get into it, folks. Mr. Elijah Carujo, I've got you out here, buddy. I know you're finishing up book of the month, Frank Betcher's How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success, man. I'm going to let you go ahead and get on into it, buddy.
Cool, man. I took notes on my way too big iPad on the last few chapters.
I like that.
Fun fact about this book. This is the first book I read here at Symmetry. And I bought the used $4 copy. That's why it's all faded and old. But there are certain principles that I don't think ever expire with age. And so this book is fire to say the least. So I wrapped up chapters, if you're following along, chapters 23 through 33. So I've picked up where Jordan left off and wrapped up the book. And I am not going to go through all of the meat and potatoes. That's your guys' job. I'm just going to cover my highlights and the things that I took notes on. So how I raised myself from failure to success. One thing I really liked was he talked about the biggest reason salespeople lose business, maybe lose clients, get hung up on, get people to think about it is, here it is, you talk too much. If you talk too much and you have a hard time getting to the point, you will lose business. You'll lose people's interest. Maybe not even just clients, but people that are maybe you're working with even too. You'll just lose their attention. Another thing too, he talked about fear, and he said when you're scared, admit it. It shows authenticity, and that can be the biggest thing that causes people to listen to you. I don't know about you guys, but I have a hard time paying attention to people who I can kind of what's the word? They're not real. They're fake. They're not authentic. I actually dealt with a salesman over this weekend who just reeked of authenticity. Also, when you operate from a place of fear, you often miss opportunities because you won't do what's uncomfortable. And so embrace the uncomfortable, acknowledge your fear, recognize it. Don't be afraid to admit it. One of the things I admire about Jordan is she'll often say, like before a call, like, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous to talk here. And you know what it does is, she's a real person. And it just makes it that much easier to listen to somebody who is going to be real with you. And then he also talks about the approach. The approach is basically the sale before the sale. In our business, what that translates to is probably booking the appointment is where I would kind of connect the two. And so before anybody will book an appointment with you, before anybody will listen to you, they need to be sold on the importance of listening to you. When you have that initial contact with somebody, you're a complete stranger. And you may know why you're calling them, but they don't. And you may know you're going to book an appointment with them for tomorrow at 6 p.m., but they don't know that yet. And you get that through the approach. And so if you're getting maybe a lot of people no-showing you, people hanging up on you, it may be because of a lack of an approach of getting them to be sold on the importance of listening to you. The way I do that is I explain my role and purpose. I do that on the call when I book the appointment. I do it again when I'm running the appointment. And I'm not going to go through the weeds of what my role and purpose is, just go through the training. Another follow-up for maybe a failed approach or not locking down the sale before the sale is a lack of rapport. I don't know about you guys. I don't book appointments with people. Like if somebody calls me, I don't set up a meeting with somebody just like that, especially if I don't know what it's about. If I know what it's about, it's a little bit different. But rapport, getting to know them a little bit, introducing yourself goes a very long way, especially in today's day and age where we're inundated with calls and telemarketers and things like that. And so rapport is humongous. And the approach begins the first time you call a lead. When you get that form, like as soon as you hit the green button to dial, that's when the approach starts. And so you need to be cognizant of the different characteristics of that. And so if you don't explain who you are, what you're calling about, or why it's important in the first few seconds, you may miss them as a potential client. I've been hung up on a ton of times. And when I started slowing down and adjusting my tonality, and then really just clearly explaining and being real with the person of, this is what I'm calling about, this is who I am, I'm verifying your info, and then go from there. That's the basis of the setup and the approach. He used an analogy of, or not an analogy, but he talked about how a boat gets docked, and when the boat is getting close to the dock, they'll throw a really small rope or string to somebody standing on the dock. That small rope is attached to a gigantic rope that they use to tie up. And if you don't have the approach properly, it's the same as trying to throw that humongous rope to somebody on the dock. It's just not going to connect. You may get it over the edge. It is not going to reach that person. So the approach is the small line attached to that rope. It's basically building the rapport, expressing who you are, why you're calling, getting them to be sold on the importance of listening to you, and then they can pull in the big rope. Does that make sense? Cool. And he breaks down the key to booking more appointments. In our business, that's the best system. You can get on the SFG website. It's under training guides and scripts. They just revamped everything, so it's all updated, looks pretty. That's the best system. The best system stands for be busy. People don't want to book appointments with everybody or anybody who just has all the time in the world. And so be busy. Establish why you're calling. That's the E. Set the appointment is S. Tie it down is the T. And so one of the mistakes that I made, or a pitfall, if you will, if you're a new agent, let me just warn you of it. Don't try to sell the person mortgage protection or final expense coverage on the first phone call. That's not the goal. If you go into a phone call with that, that's like trying to throw the big line. You're missing the approach entirely. And I've done that. And so the goal of the phone call is to book an appointment. I am not giving anybody quotes over the phone like that. I am not trying to run an appointment right there. Now, don't get me wrong. It has happened, but those cases are few and far between. And so best system is huge. He starts talking about baseball. Fun fact about Frank Becker, I think he played for the Cardinals. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he talked about that. And he talked about basically, he was talking about pitching and throwing and how he perfected what he was doing through habits, rituals, and just perpetual practice. He titled it Drill, Drill, Drill. And so the same habits and rituals that take place in sports need to become second nature for whatever we're doing in selling. A lot of like selling, I think, is a sport. It's a beautiful sport. There's a lot of people who suck at it though. And so if you want to be a star in selling, you have to get your fundamentals down. And so one of the things you've said, Chris, that I love is go advanced on the basics. This business is super simple, almost annoyingly simple. But if you can get good at the basics, which is making phone calls, booking appointments, and building relationships with people, you will crush it here. And so when you try to get all fancy and become a product expert with all 42 carriers and all of that stuff, you're gonna miss the boat. And so what this looks like in our business, when I have a new agent starting out making dials, I tell them to call me after every 3 to 5 contacts, because you don't know what to practice if you don't have somebody watching you practice. That's another reason I host those dial Zooms. Sometimes other people are dialing and I can kind of pinpoint, hey, tweak this. Or I'll have the new agent, after they talk to 3 to 5 people, call me with a question. And the more you do that, the more you are drilling down on the fundamentals, the quicker you will get better. The people who don't reach out to me, shocker, do not sell as much as me. I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't mean that cocky. I reached out to Grant more than I think anybody else in our team. I'm just going to leave it at that. Chapter 29 says, let the customer help you make the sale. Don't do all the talking. You need to involve them. This goes a long way when you're running an appointment. When you're involving the lead, or not the lead, the client you're talking to, when you involve them in the discussion about mortgage protection or life insurance, those are the best appointments when you're involving them, because you're building a relationship with somebody. You're expressing the importance of what it is we're talking about. They're seeing the importance. They're buying it. You're not selling them. There's a huge difference. When you do 100% of the talking, or I would dare say over 50% of the talking, you're selling. If it's even and you're having a conversation, they're buying from you and you're kind of going in as a friend. I love when I hang up the phone with somebody and they thank me for being their friend. I've had that happen a bunch of times, and it is such a good feeling because it just shows that I did my job right. And so involve the client when you run appointments. Chapter 30, getting new customers and making old ones enthusiastic boosters. This feeds into rapport. If you want to get new customers, the best place to get new customers, besides our lead program, is from new customers. I have gotten really good at getting referrals lately. I think last month I wrote $4,000 on just referrals. Just referrals. I think that's the most I've ever done. And the way that I would get them is I talked to new people that I just wrote business on and asked them. I said, who do you know who also needs this? Very simple. I didn't say, do you know anybody who needs this? Which is a yes or no question. Very easy to say no to that. Who do you know who also needs this? Huge difference, because then they start thinking, oh, my sister just bought a house. I just bought a house. I'm getting more. She also needs this, or what have you. And so getting new customers and making old ones enthusiastic about what it is you're doing, or repeat buyers, that's huge, is getting referrals. You call to follow up with them through big stages of life. I write multiple policies on the same people, which, I mean, that just increases your profitability, your PPL. That's massive. And the major key here, major key takeaway is make friends with your clients. If you don't make friends with your clients, I would bet they're not going to give you referrals. They're probably not going to think of you when they maybe need life insurance or disability coverage or critical illness or have an annuity. They think of people that they liked and helped them with something similar in the past, or they just go out and look for it just from scratch. And so the 7 steps of the sale were the next section. I'm not going to go through all 7. I'm just going to go through the ones that stood out to me. Summarize whenever possible. So when you're running an appointment, go over what it is you're covering. Hey, Miss Betty, we're looking at a 30-year plan that's going to cover half the mortgage. This is how much it costs. Does that sound good to you? Get and kind of review what it is they're doing, because what you don't want happening is them calling you in 2 weeks trying to cancel because they don't know what they got. I've had that happen before. It sucks. And then you have to backtrack the whole thing. And so summarize, ask them, how do you like it? I don't want people getting something they don't need, don't want, or don't see the value in. Asking them, how do you like it, is an open-ended question that locks it down. And so you'll want to lock it down. You'll also want to welcome objectives and overcome them before they come up. The other piece too is get the why. There's a ridiculous amount of training out there on our site about the emotion and getting the why, and people buying because of that. And so that's huge. The other one too is the amount of assumption. Frank Bedker is a selling genius. It kind of caught me off guard too. Some of the examples he gave where he would walk up into he prospected people too. He didn't even have leads. He would walk up into businesses, start a conversation with whoever owned it, bring an application with them. And he would do it over the course of a multiple sit close. And on like the second or third visit, he would walk in with the application, just give them a pen, and they would just sign it. I'm like, what is going on? And the way that he did that, and he was able to do that because of the amount of assumption that he had going into the appointment. We can have way more assumption than Frank Betker could have ever had because they first reached out to us. We're not prospecting strangers or cold calling people or door knocking businesses. We could have half the amount of assumption he had and probably get just as much, if not more results. I mean, I don't know what he sold, so I can't say that, but you can have enough assumption to fill out the application with somebody, get the bank information, and then get referrals on top of it. And so my closing thoughts are chapter 32 is the closing technique from a master salesman. I think that is assumption and posture, because the common thing in every chapter is you can see the progression of Frank's confidence. As he got better, his confidence grew. As his confidence grew, the more assumptive he was. The more forward and genuine and authentic he was with people, and his belief increased. And so it all started with his assumption and posture and the combination of the two. And so if maybe you are spotting holes in your swing, or you're not able to close or really write consistent business, it may be because a lack of posture and a lack of assumption in your booking process as well as your running appointment process. The last one I'll leave you with is don't be afraid to fail. This was probably the first and biggest lesson I've learned here at Symmetry is don't be afraid to fail. Fail early, fail often, fail forward. That's a quote I stole from, I think, Will Smith. But one of the things I read, I think I read this from Lee Jedlicka. He says, you don't fail, or you didn't fail. You just did something and received an outcome. Failure is just judgment added after the fact. And I think that that's really profound. There's a lot of truth to that. And so the closing thoughts I'll leave to people out there is don't be afraid to fail.
I love it, buddy. Hey, don't be afraid to fail. I love the message, man, because all failure leads to success as long as you keep moving forward. It's like life is never, what happens to us. It's how we respond to what happens to us, right, Elijah?
Big time.
It's like, so if we fail, it's okay. You move forward. You counsel. That's why we talk about one of our basics here is massive action, constant correction. We realize you're going to need constant correction because we all did. I know I needed it when I first started. But the good part is you will get better as long as you can fail, but move forward positively. It's one of the things that we always talk about as a characteristic of the people that you see on our leaderboards. They're able to fail, but move forward positively. And so think about that. Is that a psychology that's been holding you back? Maybe a fear that's been holding you back? If it is, concentrate on that. Make it an awareness. Awareness is step one in knowing where you are. Once you become aware of something, a problem, perfectly identified is half solved, right? And so now you've identified half of the problem, right? And so you can go forward with that right there. Advance on the basics. I'm going to mention this. What's our basics, guys? What's our basics? Grant, you out there, buddy?
He's muted.
You did it. You muted yourself out again. I just asked you to unmute. You should have.
Sorry, I had to cough, and I didn't. He was saying such good.
Oh, is that what it was? I was about to
I
say,
didn't want to
I
cough
didn't
and,
mute you.
ruin the whole vibe. That
I
was
appreciate
the goal.
that, Grant.
Yeah. So, Grant, and looking at your past week, you were a number one producer for the month, I believe, and you're also number one producer for the week, over 10,000 in production. And, and something me and you were having a conversation the other day about, advanced on the basics. And, what's our two boxes, Grant? What's our two boxes we got to feel as people if we're full time here? And, just speak to people about that real quick, and then we'll close her down.
Yeah, absolutely. So the two boxes, and this is super simple, is sit with 15 families. And I want to clarify that. This is not you booked 15 appointments. This isn't you got on and you were supposed to do a Zoom session and then they don't show up. So you call them and they say, well, let's do it over the phone. That don't count either. because they're not actually engaged. That's like running and going to somebody's house and them saying, well, let's do it right here in front of the door. No, that is not an appointment. Going in and 5 minutes into it, they decide, we don't really want to do this. That's also not an appointment. An appointment is you sit and you go through the full presentation with a family. They understand what you're talking about. They understand what the options are, and they give you a definitive yes or no. That's an appointment. And so it's run 15 of those. And you got 7 days to do it. I mean, you could do it in 5 days. That's 3 appointments. Like, come on, 15, right? So that's that box. But what I also know is the best producers are because they're also builders. And so also do 20 interviews a week, 20 STPs. And you know what you could do? You could also STP your appointments. That gets you 15 of your 20 right there. I got a buddy. Listen, Chris, I got a buddy. He became an agency owner in his first year, and he never hired anybody except from the table. He hired all of his recruits.
Wow.
I think that was Scott Ford.
Scott Forehand. He hired all of his recruits from his appointments. He'd call them back up after the policy got issued and said, hey, are you looking for some extra work?
Perfect. Nobody believes in it more than them.
Right? And they believe in it. They understand. So it's those 2 boxes, and it's being willing to do those 2 boxes no matter what. What does that mean? And I'll just say this to tack on to Elijah's. I'll tell you, I can bet I probably failed more than everybody else did this week. That's why I also got more results, because I was willing to fail more. And it's just, you fail your way there. And I ran 16 appointments. And the thing is, though, the last 2 appointments that I ran this week, both told me no. I'd already written over $10,000 in premium. I didn't need to run those 2 more, but it's more about the listen, your niece and nephew over here.
I know, Aspen and Thaddeus.
It's not always about the results that you get. It's about the process that you do. And are you willing to be disciplined in that? And so the last 2 appointments I ran, both told me no. I'd already written $10,000 in premium. I didn't need to go run 2 more, but what was the box I needed to fill? So I went and filled that box. They both told me no. I didn't care. I did my job, and I filled the box. And if you're willing to do that and just say, I ran an appointment at 2:30 in the morning this week.
And
you're not wrong. You did.
I did, and I wrote it. And if you're willing to do that and just say, hey, no matter what happens this week, these are the hours I have. Come hell or high water, I'm going to fill these boxes. You'd be amazed at what results you're going to get out of that. You really will. And just keep it that simple. Don't overthink it. Don't do any of it. Give you my numbers. I had over $300 this week. I talked to, I believe it was 24 people. I booked 18 appointments. I sat with 16.
Wrote 6 apps.
And I wrote 6 apps for $10,241 annual premium. and there was that too. So, it's just,
he ran this week with COVID.
Well, that was a thing.
You and Brian Hamby, man, you're not leaving a whole lot of excuses for us out here to make, man. Come on.
I ran appointments laying on my couch. I just told the client, listen, I'm sorry, my camera isn't working, because I was laying on the couch. So just don't make excuses. Don't negotiate with it. That was something that you said to me early on. That's something that you've said before, is if you negotiate with the process, you're negotiating with your results. So don't do that this week, guys. It's a brand new month. Y'all just got a raise. Go take advantage of it. Go make some money for you and your family. We're getting ready. Kids are potentially going to go back to school, right? Maybe, we don't know. But there's a lot of things coming. Christmas is coming. All sorts of things are coming. So go do what you got to do for you and your family as we go in and finish up this quarter and go into the last quarter of the year.
I love it, buddy. Great message, man. Great message. All while you were sick. I remember that. That's for sure. So, well, thank you, Elijah. Thank you, Grant. Appreciate everybody out there. Remember, 12 o'clock call coming up with Ryan Federico, one of our good friends, hosting the national call, talking about the process of sales. I'd plug into that as well. I think Ryan runs 25, 30,000 a month personal production as well. Right, Grant? Like he's a stud out there in the field. So you guys plug into that, take notes. Thank you guys. Everybody have a great week. Thank you, guys.
See y'all.